Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. It is time for the Division 1 World Championship here at ISRL Esports. It is round 10 out of 16 at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix here at Yas Marina Circuit. So happy you could be joining us for what is going to be a very exciting race here. My name is Fallen Monkeys, back in the commentator's booth here once again this week, joined by Ephraim Tabone here as my co-commentator this week. ISRL X unable to make it, but we will have a fantastic time nonetheless. Now, Ephraim, just let me know when you're back at it here, ready. I'll take the lead for the time being here as we're getting ready, as we normally do, for this full qualifying session. It is going to be qualifying 1, 18 minutes of non-stop qualifying action. Drivers competing to try to make it through into the top 15 to make it through into qualifying 2, and it is going to be exciting. I heard a little bit of Mike Knows. Ephraim, are you here with us at all?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening to you, of course, Monkeys. What's your real name, sorry?
My name is Eric. So Eric, Fallen,
Eric,
whatever works best for you.
So good evening, Mr. Eric Fallen Monkeys. Wishing you also good luck for this commentary, of course. And right now we're having Division 1 action. I'm really excited to see what they're gonna offer.
Yep, it's going to be a very exciting race here, and given what we've seen in Division 3, in Division 2, I'm really excited to see what the drivers can do here in Division 1. We've had exciting races all day long here on this wonderful Sunday, and I'm sure here in Division 1 it's going to be no different. But of course, we've got to get through our qualifying session here. It's qualifying 1, still in the early stages, as Chapelelli, the championship leader so far here in the Division 1 World Championship, leading the way on the soft tires here on their out lap before getting set for their flying lap. And it's going to be a good one here for sure. As I've constantly said, Chapelelli, we've seen his pace, but here around Abu Dhabi, it's a circuit that some drivers love it, some drivers hate it. I myself, I'll be honest, I don't really like this track all that much. Not one of my favorites on the circuit, especially here around Sector 3 that we're seeing Chapelelli take. It's I feel it's clunky. Ephraim, I don't know if you feel any differently yourself about this track at all, but I know I don't like it too much.
I literally hate it, but even in Division 4 last time, it was really hard to overtake someone. And also, if the other guy just tries to, let's say, hit the brakes early, your wing is damaged and you don't have any other option than going to the pits. So these drivers, they need to be aware of the braking points. If you have a wing damage, you will lose a lot of time, especially in this track. And they need to be aware of the exceeding track limits over here, because the track limit of a late safety car like we saw in Division 2, it can ruin your race automatically. Get further down the grid.
Definitely, especially with the track limits here in qualifying, as well as the race, because they can definitely have an effect here. But I'm looking here, I'm riding on board of the Chapelelli, given he's leading the way. Doesn't look to be phased too much here around this circuit. And so far here in the championship, doesn't look like too much has phased him, just generally speaking. Another solid lap here, as much as he's got a few lockups here in these hard braking zones. But Ephraim, like you mentioned, it is a very tricky track. We share more or less the same opinion on the track as a whole, but I have noticed, at least when I've been driving here, that you can't really rely on the braking points the game gives you. You really have to find your own braking points here, because or else you're going to go very deep. I know down the first of 2 long back straights, especially, that the braking point that the racing line provides really doesn't give you much indication of where to brake unless you want to overshoot the corner. And even that last of, I believe it's the 3 right-handers in Sector 3, you've got to brake a little bit earlier than what you would expect, or else you will be going deep. But Chapelelli, like I said, really not phased by this circuit at all. He sets a very blistering fast 132.4 to start off this session. Sprunky reserving in the Mercedes for Carter, who was unable to make it here this race, setting a 134.5. Now, Sprunky took the victory in Division 3 earlier today, so really has a lot of pace here around Abu Dhabi, but between Division 3 and Division 1, there is that pace difference, so hopefully, I'm hoping to see some good showing from Sprunky in that Mercedes, and maybe show a nice little representation for the Division 3 drivers here in the league. But we're starting to see times starting to fall. Ariel Wouter, or as we know him, Sweet Crown 19, sets a time in P2 right now, a 133.6. But if I look at the tires, the only driver so far to have set a time on the medium tires, AJ Wuhan and VR46 Zerno, the only other drivers not mentioned who have a time right around the 134s and 135s on these soft tires. Josh, too, setting a 135.5 on the soft tires, so not necessarily pace, too much pace here in qualifying 1. Normally we would see drivers maybe holding off a little bit, keeping some of that pace hidden between now and the end of qualifying. I think in qualifying 2, qualifying 3, that's probably when we're going to start seeing especially with some of these fast drivers like Sweet Crown 19, Josh 2, even Isaac Kush, who's currently on a lap right now in the AlphaTauri car, as we'll ride on board with them. Like I said, in qualifying 1, normally we see a little bit of sandbagging, I guess I'll say. Not the quickest pace, but that'll definitely come to be different in qualifying 2 and 3. Isaac Kush set a 133.5, and Passassin setting a 133.3 to go up in the second, but still nobody coming anywhere close to the time set by Schiaparelli very early in this session. And to be honest, I do think, there we go, right as I was saying, it's Schiaparelli retiring from the session, and I think that's his strategy, as we've seen through the entirety of his qualifying stints here in Division 4. Taking one lap, setting that decent time, and then sitting off to the sidelines until the next qualifying showing. And, I mean, a decent strategy if you've got the pace. It helps conserve those tires, and it might need them over the course of the race, depending on how things play out.
I think also, Fallen Monkeys, we need to mention that two guys who are trying to make it in the top 15 for this first session, they were on the medium tires, and they used one of their compounds that they need to really be aware of, not trying to use much wear on those tires, because you need those tires in the race. And when you choose the tires, normally have around 7 tires of softs and 4 tires of medium in total. So basically these drivers, they need to be really aware. If they're gonna use those soft tires, they'll at least will try to use only 2 tires, not 3 soft tires. And from the medium tires, they won't use it at all, because you need them in Q2 if you're gonna make your fastest lap with the medium tire. And that's a real good strategy. In fact, we've seen it coming through in Division 2 with drivers who started the mediums, and they ended up with a good position at the race.
Oh yeah, and that does bring up that talking point here once we do get to qualifying too, given that if you do make it through in the top 10, you do start on those tires. But it's not really something that I don't do much to qualifying myself as far as racing is concerned, so I don't know the strategies as much as some of the others. But it does bring up that point that here in these first few laps, if you're putting on those medium tires, you gotta watch out on the wear, like you said, so that you're not completely wearing out those tires once you get to the race. Now, of course, I do feel potentially a lot of the drivers who might be starting on the medium tires might be looking more towards a one-stop strategy, a mediums to hards. Now, Ephraim, I know you have actually just raced this track here in Division 2, like you mentioned. What strategy, honestly, do you think is quicker? Would you say the one-stop, maybe a mediums to hards, is a quicker strategy, or would you be more willing to commit to a two-stop, maybe a soft mediums, or maybe even like a medium soft type strategy?
All the times I raced in this track, when I choose a strategy, I never used it because there will be around safety car for sure, and also sometimes you might have damage. So basically, your strategy won't come affected. But I also would admire those who try to do a long run with those hard tires. These are very, very slow in some corners, even when you reach some wear on those hard tires. But I would go definitely for soft tires to start, medium tires to continue it for the first pit stop, and the second pit stop, if I have left, I would use the soft tires. If I don't have, I will go again for the medium tires.
I see. Now, I actually gave that one stop a shot in the Division 3 race. And I mean, of course, I did pit a little bit earlier than I expected, given the safety cars that did come out in the Division 3 race when it did. But I did feel the one stop, the mediums to hards, could go relatively comfortably to the end. But of course, near the end of my stint on the hard tires, I was kind of starting to feel that wear, starting to slide around the corners a little bit more, not really gain much grip. And I was finding myself being caught up relatively quickly by some of those two-stop runners who had put on those quicker tires at the end. But it is something we'll have to see what the drivers look to do. We do have a bit of a ways to go before that, though, given that we're still in the early stages of qualifying one. But still, most of these drivers do have times on the board, only 3 of which have yet to set a time. Andin, who we're riding on board right now as he's coming down the long DRS straight. Sophion, who's about to set a time, only in P14 for the AlphaTauri driver. So not the quickest time that he was hoping for. Definitely not sitting comfortably, as I feel those times are going to start getting much quicker as this session starts to approach near the end. Andin coming through the end of Sector 2, and FRL Jamie, I believe maybe known as Verindigo from what I'm hearing, but unsure. He is reserving for Do Will, though, that I know for a fact, who's normally in the Red Bull, unable to make it here this week is Do Will. But Jamie on 2-lap old soft tires, and crucially, that's an invalidation here as well for him. So, Ephraim, you were mentioning track limits, and already here in qualifying one, they seem to be a bit of a problem spot for the Red Bull of Jamie, who has yet to be able to set a time. And I don't think, no, he is going to invalidate another time here as it goes very wide through the exit of the final corner.
Know what's happening. Jamie is on a 5 laps with those softs. He's not racing at all. I don't know why he's running so wide in the corners. Maybe he's trying to get the best out of the track, and then he will do the last with a new time. You need to be aware also to get in time for the pit stop. In the margin of 2 minutes 30, you will be safe to do at least 1 lap. But they need to also manage the traffic that there's going to be. Some drivers are already retired. Okay, they are safe. I would believe that from Jerome Visser onwards, or let's say from Eklund onwards, I think they're safe. 1:33.4.71, I think it's safe to be top 15. But we will see, because these drivers, they're all unpredictable sometimes, and this track, as it goes along, the track grip and the track evolution, it will be faster. It will become faster.
Oh, definitely, and it's also one of those things that with the track limits as well, we could see a lot of very quick drivers maybe making that mistake if they're leaving that lap to the last possible moment. Now, I see Zat Kush about to cross the line. There's a time a bit more representative of what we're used to seeing from the AlphaTauri driver up into P3, so I think he should be comfortably into qualifying too. We have seen, like you said, a lot of drivers already retiring early on. They're comfortable. And it looks as though from what you're gauging, Ephraim, it looks like from Eklund, or from Feral Fury down, I guess I could say, is right around where you're unsafe. Eklund sitting in P10 right now, but from that prediction, that 1:33.4 should, in theory, be enough to make it through. But of course, lots can change, as you mentioned, with the track evolution, with the lap times these drivers could possibly set. I'm going to ride on board with Knight in the Red Bull as he's on a flying lap right now, coming down the back straight And not looking to use Isaac Kush that was ahead of him for a little bit of a tow down this back straight, and I don't think Isaac Kush was ready to give him much of a tow, if I'm being completely honest either. But through into the second straight, we'll have to see what kind of time he can do. Currently sitting in 17th, so is on the outside looking in. Right now, the 134.259 is the time to beat, as we're seeing that's Sweet Crown 19 retiring out of the first qualifying session, currently in 5th. Now, I'm also looking, here comes Knight, he's going to be approaching his teammate, who, controversially though, is still out on what is now 6-lap-old soft tires. So, one of these things I'm thinking potentially in qualifying 1, and this could be a big indicator if he does dive into the pits. No, he's staying out for one more lap. So I'm not too sure what's going on with Jamie93, as now he's got 7-lap-old hard tires. Knight crosses the line and puts himself into P12. It's a 133.9 for the Red Bull driver, so a much quicker time does put... Sorry?
Of course, look how much the track is getting better now, and there's also some... It's getting darker, so there's more grip now, and I think the drivers, they don't need to retire at all in any situation. They need to continue. In fact, Eklund now just retired because he didn't have much time in those pits. But let's say I expect that Nathan JB, Jarno, and also Sofian will improve their times. We know that these drivers can make it. Regarding Jamie, I think he don't know what he's doing, but maybe he's just testing out the track.
That's sort of what I was thinking, and I was going to bring up that point as I was riding on board with Knight, that I thought maybe he was going to be testing the track on one set of soft tires, but then I thought near the end of that last lap he was going to jump into the pits to then put on that fresh set and do his one and only lap, and that way he does break it out in that 2.5 minute mark that you were mentioning as sort of the window for the final lap. But it doesn't look like that's too much of the case. Now, VR, I think he abandoned his lap as he was out on it right now, given he's got no ERS, so I think he's going to be pushing out one more lap on these soft tires when the track is essentially going to be more or less at its quickest. He will have enough time to make it through, and that 140.5 definitely not representative of the pace we know he has. I'll switch over to Nathan JB. He's a driver that we can normally come to expect to see near the top of the leaderboards, and he did take part for the, the other team, of course, in the league versus league race we had last weekend, and from last weekend showed a lot of pace here around Abu Dhabi, so I do expect to see a strong showing from the racing point of Nathan JB here. But once again, abandons that lap he was on currently, and now is starting his probably his last flying lap of qualifying 1, currently in 14th. But we have the likes of Jamie 1 in the Mercedes out on a flying lap right now. AJ Wuhan, who's in the McLaren, out on a flying lap right now. The other Jamie 93 in the Red Bull, he's currently on a valid lap right now with those 8-lap-old soft tires. But the question for him is whether or not he's going to be able to keep it valid, and will he be able to make it through into the cutoff in time to make it into the top 15. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that. Sprunky's on an out lap. It's an invalidation, but not necessarily the end of the world there, as I think he was letting his teammate through. And here we go. This is the end of qualifying 1. It is still VR46 Jarno who's on the cusp in 15th right now. Can he improve as he's about to cross the line? No, goes a little bit slower, so will stay in 15th.
JB goes fastest in Sector 2.
Oh, so he's on an absolute flyer right now, so we'll see if he can improve, qualify ahead of his teammate here in qualifying 1. I'm going to keep an eye out, though, on some of these drivers, and yes, who was that who just went faster? That was Jamian, who goes faster in the Mercedes. He's up into P11, so VR, unfortunately, out of qualifying. Let's see, is Nathan going to improve now as he's on the outside? Yes, he does, goes up into 10th. And that puts Knight right on the border, on the inside looking in, but still the likes of Andon, AJ Wuhan, and Jamie, who have yet to set their times. I believe that was it might have been Feral Fury who set a time. Jamie now sitting on the cusp. Andon goes faster, and he puts himself up into P12. So now Sophion on the border, and I don't think Jamie 93 got a time on the board at all. So just like that, that is going to bring it to the end of qualifying. But lots of shakeups here in the order right at the end of the session. But it's still the time from Chapelelli that was fastest. But look at Netsky in the Renault here as a reserve, going 1/100th slower than Chapelelli in qualifying 1. So that might be a battle we're going to have to keep an eye out as the session moves on. Isaac Kush, Ferg, Sweet Crown 19, Josh 2, Rotation, Passassin, Your Own Visser, Nathan JB round out the top 10. AJ Wuhan, Andon, Eklund, Feral Fury, and Sophion are the drivers who make it through into the top 15 into qualifying 2. Jamian, Knight, VR46, Jarno, Sprunky, and Jamie 93 are the 5 drivers who have been knocked out of qualifying 1, will be starting in position 16th through 20th, and definitely have their work cut out for them once we do start the race, once we do complete qualifying. But we are moving on to qualifying 2, a bit of a similar idea that we saw in qualifying 1, but a little bit less time. 15 minutes now of non-stop qualifying action, and your goal, of course, is to make it through into the top 10. You want to make it into the top 10 for that top 10 shootout, but there is a catch here in qualifying 2, where if you do make it through into the top 10, the tire in which you set your fastest lap on will be the tire you are forced to start the race. So this is where we're going to start seeing maybe some strategy come into play from some of these drivers. They might be looking to qualify on the mediums, attempt that one stop, the mediums to hards, or maybe even a medium soft if they're looking at the 2-stop. But maybe we'll see more drivers opting for the soft tires near the end of the session, which normally tends to be the case here in this qualifying 2 session. Lots of drivers like to go out on the mediums to start off, and then once we start seeing more drivers putting on those hard tires and those soft tires, getting those quicker times in, that's when we start seeing the rest of the grid order sort of follow and put on those soft tires for that second or final lap here around the circuit in qualifying 2. But it is going to be Andon leading the way on the out lap for the racing point on those medium tires. So we'll have to see how the times are going to fall here as this qualifying session plays out.
I believe that now we're going to see a lot of drivers trying to take it with the medium tires, and of course the likes of Chapelele, also Netsky. There will be also Rotation, which qualified really well in the first qualifying. Yeah, I think they are really positive, and they're really comfortable doing those mediums as a start. In fact, I think also the other drivers, the ones like Ferry, Wooter, which is Sweet Crown 19, I think they also will try a lap with the mediums, but they're gonna start with soft tires for now. As we go along, maybe we can do a little bit of a hot lap with some of the drivers, if you want, for the monkeys.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm riding here with Andon as he's coming through, finishes Sector 1, coming around that first hairpin down the long DRS straight, opens up DRS here on his first lap on the medium tires. Now you can see it's a very long straight, right around the 150 or the 100 yard, I should say, slams on the brakes to hit this, I'll call it a chicane-like corner, which leads into the second of 2 very long back straights and the second DRS zone of the track. Back open again here, down this second of 2 straights, hitting another one of these chicane-like corners, the Tilka specials, I guess, as I can call them here. Long straight leading into a hard braking zone. Now through into Sector 3, this is probably the more technical aspect of the track, the harder section of the track, especially this corner. Looks like Andon handles it very well, doesn't go too deep on there, but you really have to nail your braking zone through that corner. But unfortunately, in 3 corners to the end, clips the curb a little bit too much, pushes those track limits just that much more than the marshals would like here in this here at Abu Dhabi, and that is invalidation. And crucially, as I switch over to Schiaparelli, that's an invalidation for him as well, as he extended those track limits a little bit too much. Passassin takes an invalidation, as that's an extended track limits he himself, and I'm seeing lots of drivers here getting.
Even Nathan JB gets also an exceeding track limit, so they're feeling it a little bit more hard on those medium tires. I think they will switch to the soft tires, because now if they will use another set of mediums, they won't have enough for the race.
Yep, and that's what I'm thinking too, unless they really want to go out for one more lap on those medium tires. Ferg is the first driver to finally get a time that was valid. It's a 1:33.8 as the fastest lap here so far in qualifying 2. But and Sophion setting a 1:34.7, so about a second behind at the time set from Ferg. But so far here in qualifying 2, track limits are the story to talk about. Lots of drivers who are out on their flying laps having to abandon them, totally due to the fact that they had invalidated based on the track limits. Now, I'm sure some of it just has to do with the grip on those medium tires, like you were mentioning. But the other thing that I'm also thinking as well is that compared to qualifying 1, drivers might be pushing a little bit more than they were in the first stages of qualifying, as you can see, rotation even having a bit of a moment, taking that second chicane-like corner at the end of Sector 2 into Sector 3, going very slowly now, as I think he has abandoned his lap. Yes, he has. So that's going to be another lap that won't necessarily count here. We'll add it to the list in qualifying 2. But like I said, I do think drivers may be pushing a little bit more on these medium tires to start breaking out some of these quicker times. And that might be where you're pushing the track limits a little bit more than you were in qualifying 1. And that's where you can start getting caught, start having mistakes. And crucially, I'm seeing still lots of drivers putting on those medium tires as the fitted tires here coming out for another lap. So I think they're heating against your advice, Efron, maybe using that second set of medium tires, and would rather use them for qualifying rather than keep them for the race.
It's a risk. It's a risk that they're taking. Also, while you were talking, Vapor Assassin, he manages also to go wide and exceeded the track limit. And I think Schiaparelli now comes out with the soft tires. So definitely we're going to see what this guy is going to offer. Eckland is the first guy with the softs that also goes top right now. If I am seeing correctly, it's 133.2.
Yep, that is exactly it.
133.2, yes, because it's a little bit of a purple and I don't see that much. But yes, definitely this is going to be an interesting qualifying. I don't know if they're going to be safe, because if you take the times that top 15 did in the first qualifying, the least one was 133.4. In fact, Knight was out of the session with 133.8. So Josh 2, Real Ferg and Sophie, and definitely they're not safe on those mediums. And right now we're seeing also Ferg coming out with that soft tire. So definitely the ones who use medium tires, we could have said that they wasted them.
Yep, and I think, I mean, of course, it's something that I've seen here through the entirety of the full qualifying session here in the Division 1. Sort of like I was mentioning at the beginning, lots of drivers, they'll set that first time on the mediums more just to kind of gauge where the pace is. As Netsky crosses the line on the mediums, brings that Renault up into provisional P1, though the 133.2. But a lot of drivers, they gauge their times on the mediums, and then later on in the session, once we hit the track a little bit quicker, that's when they'll switch over to the softs, especially once they start feeling like their medium tire times isn't necessarily going to be enough to make it through into that top 10 shootout, into qualifying 3. I think this is sort of what we're going to be starting to see, as Andon sets a time on the mediums. Jeroen Visser sets a 1:33.6 on the mediums. Schiaparelli blows all of these times out of the water, but he's on the soft tires, setting a 1:32.2. So Schiaparelli once again breaking into the 1:32s, and that's Ariel Wouter, Sweet Crown 19, just on the border of the 1:32s. It's a 1:33.085 for the Williams driver. Good enough for P2 at the moment, and that is also on the soft. So already we're starting to see more soft tire runners. Izat Kush was looking to set a time on the softs, I believe, but that's another invalidation here. But I think he's going to be going out, setting one more lap here to start, as he could potentially be out on his out lap right now too. Feral Fury, he's on a flying lap, but he put on the medium tires for his lap time. But I do think his teammate Jeroen Visser was out as well, providing a little bit of help down the first of two DRS straights. It's not the first time we've seen these Haas drivers work as a team, and it has paid some dividends for them. It has worked to their advantage in the past. And here at Abu Dhabi, with those two very long back straights, it could very much so help the likes of Feral Fury get a little bit further ahead in the timing tables, especially being on those medium tires, given that we're starting to see more drivers come out on those softs to get those quicker lap times in. And already down to 5 minutes to go, just about, here in qualifying too. Time is just ticking down very quickly here in this qualifying. Feral Fury only in P9 for his medium tire run. It's a 1:34.4, so not the maybe not the time he was hoping for. Definitely not safe with that 1:34.4. And I do think that we'll see him probably come back out on the soft tires. And speaking of soft tires, you mentioned Ferg came out on the softs. He's showing a lot of pace.
In fact, I think he's the fastest guy right now in Sector 1, because he had a purple sector. Sometimes it glitches a little bit this game, but I think, yes, he might have the fastest, because even the time that he did in Sector 1 was very good. But right now we're seeing him that he have a really good pace around this track. So I expect this guy that he will go for one stop with those hards, because if you have really good pace, you would really, let's say, have a good challenge with those hard tires. But as we see also Ferg right now, we are seeing him in Sector 3, going around this corner, which you need to brake really early and try to take as much curb as possible without obviously overdoing it and in fact going wide. But these are really tricky, and you can't really turn with another guy, because you might have damages as well. So this guy, Real Ferg, let's see, and he's second. In fact, it was a really good lap, but Schiaparelli, he is one of the main guys that he's offering a lot of entertainment, offering a lot of standards in this division. But definitely, as you see, and as we talked about earlier, the medium tires are not effective anymore now. We only have Ferry, which is still in the pit. Definitely he will take another try with. So now we're gonna see the last 3 minutes, the guys with the soft, who's going fastest.
Yep, and that's, I think, like you said, we're already starting to see more soft tires fall. When I switch over to the best time of rotation, he sets a 1:33.3, only 6th fastest for the Alfa Romeo driver. Normally, we're used to seeing him up near the top, competing with the likes of his teammate, Sweet Crown 19, Ferg, and I do have to give credit where credit is due with that lap time that was set from Ferg up into P2, 1:32.7, only the second driver here in qualifying 2 to break into those 1:32s. So he's feeling, looking to be very comfortable here around Abu Dhabi, and really showing that pace with the soft tires, and could be somebody to maybe bring competition to Schiaparelli, who by all way, shape, or form is kind of really taken that bar. He set the bar, and now is just more or less inviting other drivers. Well, come catch me if you can. And we've had people give it a shot, but seems like nobody's been able to catch Schiaparelli so far here in Season 4. But like I said, maybe Ferg here in Abu Dhabi, showing some of this pace he has, might be able to take the battle to Schiaparelli here once we get into the race through the end of qualifying. Sophian, he crosses the line here, only 9th fastest on the soft tires, so definitely not comfortable. Must have been a mistake through his lap, but now doesn't look like he's going for another lap on those soft tires. Looking to conserve them, but I don't think he's going to be sitting all that comfortably, as we've got just about everybody now out on an out lap, looking to get their final laps in for qualifying too. Izzat Kush, that's a big moment here, as he has an invalidation, and with a minute to go in qualifying, he's going to have to, he might want to pick up the pace. He's going to have to make sure that he gets around if he wants to get one last lap set, or he might be a shock exit out of qualifying for Izzat Kush if he cannot get a time in. Passasin, another driver with no time, he's currently out on a flying lap with less than a minute to go. Looking to be good so far through Sector 1. We'll have to see what kind of time he can set. We'll ride on board as he comes through the hairpin, coming down the long first of 2 DRS straights. We'll see, he's got a lot of pace as we've seen so far in Division 1. But the question is, can he put that lap together when he needs to, when it counts here at the end of qualifying 2 to make it through into qualifying 3? We've got some yellow flags. I think some of the drivers who are comfortable with their times, they're retiring out of the session a little bit early. The likes of Schiaparelli, Ferg, Sweet Crown 19, and Rotation. That's a purple second sector for Passasin, as he's on an absolute flyer right now as far as the second sector is concerned. It's the end of qualifying. AJ Wuhan unfortunately does not get a time on the board, and will not be able to get a time on the board, as I don't think he crossed the line quick enough. I think Izzat Kush was able to cross the line, so he should be able to get one last lap in. But we'll stick with Passasin for the time being, as he's only a few corners away. Can it be quick enough to make it through into the top 10 shootout as he heads towards the line? What's it going to be? It's a 1:33.2, good enough in 6th. But with the times we've seen, and I think they're only going to go quicker as qualifying ends, as I believe that was either Eklund or Netsky who set a time. That was Netsky who goes second fastest, a 1:32.3. We'll have to see if Passasin is going to be able to hold up in 6th right now. Josh, too, is currently on the border of those making it through into qualifying 3. Looks to be on a lap right now, but I'll be riding on board with Izzat Kush as he's coming through Sector 3, that hard braking corner that you have to ride the curb, as Ephraim, you mentioned. But with a few corners to go now, can he put the lap together, and is it going to be fast enough? Penultimate corner, and oh no, that's an invalidation. 2 corners to the line for Izzat Kush. So he is out of qualifying and will be starting in 15th after the very costly mistake. And Josh, too, I think he did go faster to make it through into qualifying 3. Yes, he does. Finishes in 6th on the soft tires, so he'll be making it through. But my goodness, right at the end, 2 corners to the end, unfortunately, Izzat Kush will not be qualifying in qualifying 3 and has his work cut out for him.
Something I know, Netsky, although they were safe with those medium tires, they put a lap on soft tires because they thought they're not safe at all. But Netsky, he was 5th fastest with those tires with a 1:33.2. So basically, I think he made a mistake using those soft tires, because if he had those medium tires to start the race, definitely he would have the best strategy out of all the drivers. But yeah, I think we had really good drivers. Schiaparelli all the time getting the fastest lap. But it's a pity that we didn't see Izzat Kush doing another lap, and even Wuhan because of the track limits. But I think, yes, this is something that it's been challenge for drivers, and we don't need to forget that these exceeding track limits, they need to be really avoided as much as possible, because the penalties really will punish you hard here in Abu Dhabi.
Oh yeah, and especially we've already seen the punishment take place in qualifying, and even more so in the race when you start not only getting laps disqualified, but you start getting time penalties. And if we see something similar to like we saw in Division 2 with these late safety cars that bunches up the grid, it can really make a difference if you can keep your car between the white lines or if you're going to be exceeding them a little bit. But here we are moving on into qualifying 3. It is the top 10 shootout, one of the most exciting spectacles of motorsport here, as we've got the 10 fastest timed drivers in qualifying 2, pushing the cars to the absolute limits to see who will qualify in P1, who will get that pole position. Will it be the man on your screen right now, Chapelelli, who once again is leading the way on his outlap, or will we see the likes of Netsky, who's been oh so close in qualifying 1 and qualifying 2, but just has not been able to outpace the time set by Chapelelli? But maybe here in qualifying 3, he'll find that extra jump, find that extra pace, and maybe make a push to start on pole here for the Renault. Or even the likes of Suicron 19, that we know he's got some pace hidden there somewhere, but just once again has to get that lap together. It's all going to play out here sooner rather than later, I would think. 10 minutes now of non-stop qualifying action, and it is going to be Chapelelli leading the way once he gets that flying lap started. And this is the session where the tire wear doesn't matter. You get that free set of tires here in qualifying 3, so you don't have to worry about conserving them. You can just push them as much as you possibly want. Push the car as much as you possibly can, because the only thing that matters here at the end of the day is your lap time. But here we go. Chapelelli about to cross the line, and Ephraim, feel free. Do you want to take us through a lap here as riding on board with Chapelelli?
Yes, of course. This is the first turn, which is a left turn, and you really need to be full gas on the pedal before making this first S turn, which is really challenging also to not do any exceeding track limits. Here is the most common hairpin that we saw over here, and we really see a lot of drivers going slow in that corner. In fact, most of the drivers really go slow in that corner. And now this is the first DRS. As we've seen, the Alfa Romeo, they are working as a team, and Chapelelli got also a bit of tow from his teammate. But definitely now Chapelelli is flying, and in this lap, another DRS zone, which also you need to be aware not to use a lot of ERS in the beginning, the first laps of the race. This is another S-turn, which he exactly exceeded the track limits, and his lap is done.
Yep, unfortunately. So, sorry, what were you going to say there?
Yes, in fact, I was telling you who's the next guy that he is going to be the victim of these exceeding track limits, because definitely Chapelelli there, he had a very good tow, he was flying very quick, but definitely that exceeding track limit didn't help him at all. But I'm seeing Ferg, which he is really also flying with that Ferrari car. It's been a while since
but
we
slowing
saw
down is Ferg actually here in Sector 3.
What happened to Ferg?
Must not be happy with his lap time as he shuts off his ERS and might be going for maybe a second lap here. As I can see, he's warming up those tires as I'm riding on the onboard. We've got a yellow flag here, and it looked like, oh my, that's Suicron 19 facing the wrong way on circuit as he sets a very pedestrian 138.6. Ferg setting an even more pedestrian 140.2 here in qualifying 3. So the times are not necessarily flying here in these early stages, but don't worry, they're going to get faster as the race plays out. I'll jump on board with Rotation as he's on a flying lap, and looks to be a bit more of a lap that we can see the pace from. Now, unfortunately, due to that invalidation, his teammate Chapelelli not there to give him a tow like Rotation did, but unfortunately, yep, took the words out of my mouth from another victim of the track limits here in qualifying 3. So they're really proving to be a big challenge for a lot of these drivers here when the times need to be at their quickest. They're trying to push these limits as much as they possibly can. It's a high risk, high reward type game, but so far it looks like for a lot of these drivers, they're not getting the reward they're hoping for through these laps in qualifying 3. But let's see, Andon looks to be on a lap right now, so we'll...
In fact, yes, I'm following him right now. He had a very good first sector, but this guy, I think he's literally like leaving it in the last minute to give us the best out of his laps, because in the first qualifying and second qualifying, it took him the last lap to be in the top 10. So let's see what he can offer, because right now I think the drivers, they need to follow what's in their mind. The first lap they at least risk a bit, but then I think they need to play it safe, because you will end up without any lap and you will start at the back of the grid from the top 10. But right now they don't need to forget also that these drivers are all gonna start with the soft tires. So the race for the top 10 now it's gonna be a little bit harder, because the medium strategy would be effective more if the drivers from 10 to 20 they will choose that at all. So Andonai, let's see in the last 2 corners what he can do. Track limits for him. So right now let's see what's his first lap, and first lap is good, 133.552. So we saw that this guy right now is in a good position, but we need to see also what Chapelele, which right now he's also in a flying lap. Eric, I think that as you can see, it's also affecting a little bit of traffic, and he exceeded again
once again the track limits. So I think Chapelele will be diving into the pits once again, but I think he's might be running out of tires here to use, or running out of fresh set of tires for this qualifying, as now this is 2 laps that he's attempted exceeding those track limits. So really causing an issue, not just for Chapelele, but I think for just about every driver here so far, as something that we're not really used to seeing all that much is only 4 times on the board in Q3, and here down to more the dying stages of qualifying 3. 4 minutes to go and 4 laps on the board, but realistically only 2 of these 4 laps are representative of the pace. Those set by Ferg and Sweetcrow 19, who, to be fair, are out on out laps right now. That 138 and that 140 aren't necessarily the times representative of the pace that we know that he has. But I think now we're starting to see these drivers come out for their one and only flying laps here, as just about everybody is out on an out lap, other than Andon, who's going to be diving into the pits here, probably get on that fresh set of tires to do one last lap and very quickly get back out on track here. Still has time to do it, 3.5 minutes to go, and it does take less than a minute for this pit crew to change the tires. But let's jump back to rotation, as that's another invalidation here through the track limits. So it looks like the Alfa Romeo is sort of missing the the briefing about track limits, it seems. But now, as I say that, Chapelele might have been an outlap the first time around, as it looks like now he's on more of a flying lap, using his teammate for some tow, coming down the long first of 2 back straights. Ooh, a little bit scary there from rotation. And I'll be honest, I thought that might have been the ploy to give a double tow for Chapelele, but rotation slowing down as he gets back on track, allowing his teammate to go through, maybe just moving out of the way a little bit too late for his teammates' liking there. But all is safe, at least for the moment. Chapelele really riding a lot of curb, as you saw there on the exit of that corner, coming through the 3 right-handers, clips that curb about as much as you probably can before getting in trouble with the marshals. And let's see, only a few corners to go now. Can he get this lap done cleanly? No, it's another invalidation, and you can see the frustration as he just drives that into the wall. Very clearly frustrated is the Alfa Romeo, and
How come
well,
that is not a retirement? He just literally got into the wall. Chapelele right now, he's really frustrated. He's starting also from 10th. I expecting him that he's gonna start from the first positions, but I don't know why he didn't even take another chance with those tires. He had his petrol, he had the time to do it. I don't know why he didn't even take the chance.
I'm worried that maybe it might have been a question of fuel, less the tires, but more the fuel. Because I know some of these drivers, they'll fuel up just to get that one last lap in. So maybe Chapelele felt he didn't have enough time on with the fuel he had to go for that one last lap before running out. But now, provisional pole with about a minute to go is held by REL Ferg with a 132.822. Josh 2, a 132.824, is in provisional second right now. Rotation is on a lap, sets a purple second sector. Chapelele, he's retired out of qualifying. Not enough time to get one last lap set. So that is probably one of the biggest talking points. Chapelele, one of the competitors for pole, will be starting essentially from P10, barring any other mistakes from other drivers here in this qualifying.
Vapor Possession, he's cutting all the corners so he can at least try to make it on time. But as you can see, also he have enough ERS. To do another lap because he exceeded the track limit.
Yep, and that's another heartbreak as rotation one corner to the line extends the track limits a little bit too much. But now, crucially, because it was on the last corner, that invalidates his current lap time and his next lap time. So that is rotation equally will not be setting a time on qualifying here, as it's a very, very much so a heartbreaking qualifying or heartbreaking Q3 for the Alfa Romeo team, as both their drivers, who are normally up near provisional pole, will be starting essentially in 9th and 10th here, barring any other mistakes from other drivers. But this could open the door for somebody like Netsky, who's been showing a lot of pace here. Looks like he's playing it just a little bit more safe through the final few corners. No ERS left to work with, but doesn't matter as he sets a 132.233, an absolute flyer from the Renault here in his debut for the ISRL Division 1 Championship, and he takes provisional pole. Ferg, he's finished with qualifying as he's in the pits. Eklund is...
Even Vapor right now, he's going to the fastest. Possession, right now, he's really flying over there. He needs to be aware to at least keep it safe. He's having a very good lap. Let's see if he exceeds the track limits in the last two corners.
See, coming around, looks like he keeps
very well. Let's see what time he's gonna make. 132. It's 132.8.
Up in the fourth.
Fourth position for the McLaren guy. And something strange that I saw was that on an Ogier rotation, he gave a toe to the McLaren guy. So there might be a little bit of friendship between these two as well.
Yeah, potentially between Possession and Rotation. I know, I mean, previously we have seen Rotation have that Vapor name in front of his name rather than the Enosia. So potentially teammates outside of the track, friends outside of the track here, as that did definitely help Assassin get up into P4. But here at the end of qualifying 3, it is going to be the Renault of Netsky who will be starting on pole, and it is going to be the Ferrari of Ferg who's going to get the front row of the grid right alongside him. But my goodness, what a qualifying that was. Lots of storylines here, but the biggest one is both Alfa Romeos of Rotation and Chapelele down in 9th and 10th after both not being able to set a time. But it is Netsky who will be starting on pole. Ferg in second on the front row of the grid, with the Williams of Josh 2 in third, Possession in the McLaren in fourth, and his teammates of Josh 2, Sweetcrown 19, will be starting in fifth, with Eklund in sixth. Your own Visser qualifies in 7th and in 8th, and both Alfa Romeos occupying the 5th row of the grid. Will be side by side, just not where they're used to seeing them side by side. Starting in 9th and 10th here for the race. But that'll do it here for us in qualifying, but don't go anywhere because we have the race coming up very shortly. 28 laps here around Yas Marina Circuit, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. You are not going to want to miss this one because this is going to be a very, very exciting race. So clear skies for race conditions as we would expect here in the desert of Abu Dhabi, and it is going to be the start of the race. But of course, the drivers are going to take a bit of a moment, figure out their strategies, figure out those who can pick their tires to choose what tires they want to start on, get into the race mindset, and once we do get the cue from Feral Fury, we will be able to jump into the formation lap, then the race, and I'll be able to take us through the grid order. But this is going to be a very exciting race. Now, track limits have been a talking point through the entirety of qualifying, and I know they're going to be a talking point here in the race. But Ephraim, as we're leading up to the race, take us through what are, other than of course the track limits that we've brought up, what are some other things that we should be keeping an eye out here leading into the race now that qualifying is over?
As we mentioned before, not a lot of space to overtake here, only the DRS zones. Sometimes even there's also corners like the S corners. If you try to overtake over there, it's very easy to spin around. So or else you will have some damage to your wing. So they need to be really aware of that, because if you have a little bit damage of the wing, for the drivers it will be yellow in the data. So definitely, I think that they need to be really aware of their overtakes. But also, let's mention that we need to see some good racing between these drivers, and definitely I would like to see some drivers that are at the back of the grid trying to risk it with their strategies, as they really won't play it safe to come in the last places of the grid. I think see a good race, and I hope to see also some drivers who didn't manage to make a qualifying lap in the last qualifying, somehow like Chapelele and rotation, that they will also have some good pace around this track.
Oh yeah, they'll definitely have something to say. Lots of pace that we saw, and now that they won't necessarily have invalidated laps, then that's where we can start seeing some pushing. As long as they keep it clean, don't get too many penalties. But one more time through the grid, it's going to be Netsky starting on pole in the Renault. Ferg is starting on the front row of the grid in second. Josh 2 in third. Passassin in fourth. Sweet Crown 19 rounds out the top 5 with Eklund in 6th. Jeroen Visser in 7th and in 8th. And Rotation and Chapelele in 9th and 10th here in after a very disappointing Q3 for the Alfa Romeo team. Now, elsewhere on the grid, free choice of tires. Nathan JB got the best of the rest. Poor man's pole position, starting on the medium tires. Sophion in 12th on the medium tires. Feral Fury on the mediums. H.A. Wuhan in 14th on the mediums. Isaac Kush in 15th, rounds out the top 15 after a bit of a disappointing qualifying for himself, is also on the mediums. Jamian is in 16th on the mediums. Knight put on the mediums in 17th. VR46 Yarno in 18th on the mediums. Sprunky is down in 19th. He's on the mediums as well, with Jamie 93 on those medium tires to start this race. So really a split right down the middle. Top 10 being forced to start on those soft tires, so we'll be starting on the softs. But everybody who got free choice of tires opted to put on the medium tires here to start the race. So very much a split strategy right down the middle of the field, and we'll have to see how this is all going to play out once we do start the race. But I'm gonna say it, I want to keep an eye out, at least to start off, on Izat Kush down in 15th, but normally competing near the top, and one of the few drivers who we see consistently near the top on those medium, who's going to be starting on those mediums. So I would expect him to have a jump and a driver to keep an eye out. And even Nathan JB in the Racing Point, as I know last week in the League versus League showed a lot of pace here, also on those medium tires. So a few drivers just to keep an eye out for here near the back of the grid. But the drivers are lining up here, and once we do have Jamie93 take his position, we will be starting the 5 red lights for 28 laps around Yas Marina Circuit. It's the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Get ready, because it's going to be a good one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And they're off. We are racing, and it looks to be essentially a really good start from Josh 2, I think, who really jumps up, was one of the only drivers who didn't lag out, but gets a penalty. I think that might have been a jump start, actually, from Josh 2. We've got a yellow flag in Sector 1, as who is that? Was that Sofyan, or is that Kush that maybe had a... No, that's a Knight, who got caught up into an incident very early on, a Red Bull. We've got Sweetcrown 19 and Passassin going side by side into the hairpin here. Lots of battling. Chapelelli already trying to work his way up the grid order, up into 6th now from starting in 10th. So he's absolutely flying in these early stages on the soft tires. Already up into 6th. Andon now trying to make a push as they're coming down the first of 2 long DRS straights. Are we going to see 3 wide here further behind, as Andon and Eklund going side by side. Eklund still holding on to that position. They both go wide though on the exit of that corner. So get back on track. Nothing wrong with that, as they're still continuing onwards. We've got battles everywhere now, especially near the behind the pack, as Isaac Kush up into 13th. Sofyan and Nathan JB having a little bit of a battle. Nathan getting back into 11th after losing out on that position a little bit early on. But Josh 2 leads the way, but does have a penalty to serve, I believe, for that jump start. So I do believe that Ferg is essentially in a net lead of the race, with Netsky in second, as Ferg was able to get past the Renault of Netsky somewhere on the first lap to start the race. But still, it is Josh 2 leading the way, at least on track, you could say, as it is... Nope, never mind. It is Ferg now who's in the lead, as timing tables are just being completely switched over as they normally do here in the race. But let's just cue into the battles, as Chapelelli in 7th for the moment is trying to catch up to Passassin, trying to get this overtake on Passassin. But here, leading into the end of Sector 1, not much room to get this overtake done, but potentially down this this first of 2, what is normally a DRS straight, not so much here. We might see an overtake, but could also be left for the next lap now. Jamie93, after a bit of a disappointing qualifying, starting from the back, showing a lot of pace actually, already up into 15th, and looking to make an overtake down the inside of Feral Fury. They're gonna go side by side through this first chicane, and will Jamie be able to keep the traction? They're still going side by side now through the next back straight, and I see AJ Wuhan trying to follow Jamie, but they're both at very similar pace coming into the braking zone.
Also, and then he made a very good move on Jerome Visser, and now he's trying to take Eklund as well. They're really close together, and they turned that S-turn together too wide. It was really incredible to see.
That must have been crazy to see there.
Yeah.
But Andon up into 8th, so he made the move work out for him, and I mean, we're seeing a bit more, some of these drivers just really licking the stamp and sending it, so to say, trying to get these overtakes done at places that maybe we don't see them happen too much, but it shows the trust the drivers have with each other, and the trust of the control of the car. Now Chapelelli, he's right behind Passassin now, and here on lap 3, DRS will be enabled. So I think we're going to start seeing more overtakes with the help of DRS. Passassin still in 5th for the time being, but I think Chapelelli trying to make a lunge, a little bit of contact, some half spin essentially from Chapelelli there, as a little bit of time lost, but still stays within DRS range, has that flap open, but crucially Passassin also got DRS on Wouter, who's a little bit further ahead, but Chapelelli just so much faster down this straight. They're gonna go side by side, a little bit of contact, some elbows out racing between the two drivers, but Chapelelli gets the move to stick, goes up into 5th position. Passassin down in 6th, and is going to be fighting back, but might need to watch out for Eklund, who's lurking right behind.
Whoa,
but crucially, oh my
happened?
goodness, half spin from your own Visser as he's losing positions left, right, and center. Down in 12th now after getting caught up into that incident. Now, Ephraim, I think you saw it a little bit better than I did. What happened there?
Yes, in fact, your own Visser, who was trying to overtake another guy in that S-turn as well, and he ended up being clipped and he spun around, but I don't know who was the drivers. I think it was around Nathan JB and Rotation, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think Jerome Visser, he tried to do a good move on them, but he ended up also damaging his wing, I think, because now he will go to change his tires, maybe changing his wing again. Feral Ferry was another guy who he went into the pits to change his wing and change his tires. In fact, now Feral Ferry is with this medium, and Sprunky as well. The first lap he had also to change the wing, and in fact this guy Jerome Visser now is placed in 18th, and he had to also change the wing because it had damage.
Yeah, potentially getting caught up into those incidents earlier on in the race. Now, Nathan JB, just while you were mentioning, tried to make a move around the inside of the hairpin of Rotation, but Rotation isn't going to give that move, isn't going to give that position up that easy without a fight. So that kind of takes a bit of a break. But here for the net lead of the race, it is Netsky who gets around the outside of Ferg to take the lead of the Grand Prix here in the early stages on lap 4, but has a big tank slapper on the exit of the S-turn chicane there. But unfortunately not enough for Ferg to close that gap back up and get the overtake done. But here in these early stages, it's a bit of a two-horse race battle, as my goodness, what happened there? Chapelelli going very deep into the very, very tricky corner. I don't necessarily know how to call it. I just know it as that corner you always go deep in. But Chapelelli, I think, tried to make a move on Sweet Crown 19 to go up into 3rd, but just got a little bit too overzealous, missed his braking point. But crucially, Sweet Crown 19, that's Wouter, diving into the pits himself. Now, I'm not too sure if he got caught up with any wing damage or not. We'll have to keep an eye out on that, or if he's just had it with those soft tires, maybe looking to put on a fresh set of mediums. But we'll have to keep an eye out on that. But that looks to be a bit of a... Sorry?
Oh, in fact, yes, he just changed his tires to medium again.
So committing to the two-stop is Ariel Wouter, Sweet Crown 19, as he's down in 17th, but looking to go a little bit longer on those medium tires. Now here we have, I'm riding with Izat, who is putting a lot of pressure on Nathan JB, but who he himself is still putting a lot of pressure, and that's, oh no, that's Sprunky out of the race.
Had a really big spin.
And
really
that
big spin.
Oh, and that brought out the safety car now on lap 5. So unfortunately for Sprunky, not the race he was hoping for here in Division 1 in his debut as the reserve, as that is the Mercedes out. Now, was that spin just on the exit of turn 1, did you see? I don't think he came out of the pits that lap, though.
No. Sprunky, he went into the pits in the first lap, but when he was going out, I think that was turn 1, if I'm seeing correctly. Yes, he spun around and he just hit the barrier so hard that he lost his tires. So, unfortunately, this guy, he had really good races in Division 4 and Division 3. In fact, he won today in Division 3. A lot of confidence, but unfortunately, now he also retired in the first race as his debut. But now this is a game changer, because as you can see, the first few positions like Netsky, Ferg, Chapelele, they're all getting that pit stop done.
But no, Chapelele stayed out.
Chapelele didn't change his tires, maybe because Rotation did so. Yes, Rotation, in fact, he took the hard tires. So this is very interesting to see that this guy is the only guy right now who's going for a one-stop situation. This can be good, this can be bad. I don't know what's going to happen, because Rotation is going to risk it for sure.
Yeah, it is definitely a risk to take here in these early stages. It is lap 6. Now, if I do a little bit of quick math here, I believe the safety car probably going to be coming in around at the end of lap 7 to start lap 8. So that's essentially going to be 20 racing laps on those hard tires, 19 to 20, so it is doable. It's just it is going to be a bit of a tall order to ask for rotation. But Schiaparelli, because of that, he chose to stay out on those soft tires. We'll have to see if he's going to choose to take his pit stop here at the end of this lap, or if he's potentially, and this is what I think he might do, he might just look to stay out on those soft tires, maybe take 1 or 2 laps, allow some gaps to potentially form between everybody, rather than pit under safety car before taking his pit stop to put on either a set of mediums or a set of hards. Because we know the pace Schiaparelli has, especially when he has clean air ahead of him. He can really push that car when he doesn't have to battle, and it is something that I'm sure off the restart he should be able to create a gap, but we'll have to keep an eye out on this as the safety car is coming through Sector 3. Just about everybody now on the medium tires, other than, as mentioned, Schiaparelli, who stayed out on his initial set of soft tires. Eklund, who took a pit stop, but he opted to put on a set of soft tires as well. So that's a bit of an interesting strategy call too, as he might have gone soft to softs. And of course, Rotation, who opted for the hard tires, maybe looking to go a little bit longer, potentially to the end of the race. But let's see, is Schiaparelli staying out? Yes, he is. So I think
right now, he's thinking all about a one-stop situation. In fact, Schiaparelli, I think, is gonna try to go for that one stop at around lap 11, even if he can take it further, lap 12, because now we have a safety car, so it gives him an advantage of 2 laps for sure. Because right now the safety car, as you can see, it's gonna make a little bit more rounds, and this safety car right now, we might say as well that it's a little bit slower than other tracks, and as you can see, some drivers struggle a bit to take the right temperature for the restart. So right now we have Schiaparelli in first place, Nathan JB of CRL, he's in second place, and Aizat Kush is in third place. These drivers, they started at the back of the top 10, so I think that they were 15, if I'm not mistaken. Is that Kush?
Yeah.
Because he didn't manage to do a lap, yeah. So I think they're going to try to go for a long run and definitely go for that hard tires. Because now, even if you see Eklund, we saw earlier Bakker trying to take the same strategy in Division 3. And when you go with the softs, and then you need to switch definitely for the medium, because you're not going to have a lot of pace on those softs.
Yeah, and I mean, it's something that, for Eklund who's on the softs, it's not something, oh no, just, right, speaking of Eklund, Rotation got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Eklund. I think Eklund might have gotten one as well involving with that. Safety cars coming in this lap, but maybe Eklund is hoping that safety cars breed safety cars, so maybe hoping for that second one so he can take that free next pit stop. Either that, or just hoping to rely on the heat of the softs, or the heating of the softs compared to everybody else on the mediums to get that extra jump off the restart. But I think Rotation's going to have his work cut out for him, because those hard tires are going to be a lot colder than everybody else's tires on the grid. It's going to take a bit more time to heat them up, so Rotation's going to have to be careful here with this pace. But Schiaparelli now becomes the de facto safety car, and he is giving a lot of room between himself and the safety car, really slowing down the pack to a crawl as he's letting the safety car drive into the pits before he gets the restart done. And the question now is, when will Schiaparelli get his restart? And will the likes of Nathan JB and Izat Kush be able to time that right to maybe take advantage of the slightly more worn tires of Schiaparelli? Let's see how this is all going to play out. It looks like he's going now, though, with 2 corners to go to the end. It looks as though Nathan caught that very well, as he's right behind Schiaparelli now. As we're starting the restart, back to green flag racing. Rotation taking a penalty for multiple warnings, not what he wanted. We've got Netsky very quickly overtaking Jamie here on circuit. Knight, who was all the way down in last at the end of lap 1, turn 1, or at the end of turn 1, getting caught up into an incident, back up into 11th and battling it out. Ferg now trying to go side by side with Jamie, and Ferg getting the overtake done as he's keeping up with the likes of Netsky. Passassin also overtaking Jamie, but no, they're going side by side. Now Passassin gets the move done as he's able to find those afterburners. That was Wouter and Anden getting past Knight, as Knight now might be trying to make a move right back on the likes of Anden into this braking zone. You're seeing the onboard here, tries to keep his nose in there, but just not enough to get the overtake done. Netsky now getting past AJ Wuhan, but here comes Ferg trying to get the overtake done, battling for position, trying to keep up with his main rival Netsky here on track. He does get the overtake on AJ, and AJ, it looks like he goes a little bit wide through that corner to allow Assassin to go through, but now that opened the door for Jamie, and now Sweet Crown 19 who's getting past AJ Wuhan. So a very costly mistake, I believe, from, oh no, and that's a spin from AJ Wuhan as he was caught stuck going side by side through that S corner there, or the right-handers. Not what you want to be doing, very difficult to do, and it did not end well for AJ Wuhan as he finds himself in 19th and really going to have his work cut out for him now, just stuck in a bad spot, trying to battle for positions after what appeared to be trying to let his teammate by.
Oh, there was a collision. There was a collision also between Knight and Andre. In fact, Josh 2 now out of nowhere overtakes 3 guys in a row. And that was amazing by Josh. Right now, Andre also is trying to keep ahead of Josh, but Josh have a very good pace.
That was nearly 3 wide. Now 2 by 2 through the hairpin now as your own Visser is trying to get by. VR46 Yarno right behind. What a battle this is for what is the last few points positions. Now I want to keep an eye out on what's going on ahead of the circuit, but I can't take my eyes off of this battle here as it's just a gaggle of cars battling it out. I think now we've kind of hit a bit of a breather. Let's take a look. Ferg and Sophion now wheel to wheel, side by side here, as Sophion giving Ferg a run for his money as Ferg is just trying his best to keep up with Netsky. Now Ferg gets past the AlphaTauri of Sophion, as Netsky and Ferg, to their credit, after taking that pit stop, already up into 4th and 5th position, but now leaving Passassin behind.
Eric,
yes?
There's also a big battle between Nathan JB and Izzat Kush. 2nd and 3rd, it's a battle who's gonna take this position, and also Netsky is really close to them, so this is gonna be risky also for these 3. And in fact, Ferg goes wide behind them, and now I'm expecting that to start seeing also some penalties being shown to these drivers as they're trying to go as risky as possible, and they're taking this challenge to take the best place possible. But right now, as you can see, Nathan JB, Izzat Kush and Netsky, they're all together. Rotation retires.
Yeah, I think Rotation retired in the pit lane. He's really not, he hadn't had the race he was hoping for, so he's calling it off very early here on lap 10. Very briefly keeping an eye out on Sweet Crown as he was putting pressure on the likes of Jamie. But back to this lead battle, as you were mentioning, with the help of DRS. Here comes Izzat Kush trying to make an overtake, gonna try around the outside, but runs out of room as Nathan now has DRS on Chapelelli, who's still leading the way on those soft tires to his credit. But now here we've got 4 or 5 cars now, basically back to back. Here comes Nathan now going side by side with Chapelelli through this S section corner, and Nathan now gets the overtake to stick, takes the lead of this race, and here comes Izzat Kush going around the outside. Oh my goodness, Chapelelli having to go very wide. Let's take a look. Here's the angle I'm looking for. 2 by 2 here as Netsky's trying to get an overtake on Chapelelli. I think Chapelelli's tires are kind of giving out on him. Those soft tires, 9 laps old, as he's falling down the order now. That's 3 wide. A little bit of contact with the wall. Thankfully, it was the rear of the Alfa Romeo Chapelelli that hit the wall, so no damage, as now you're seeing that pit stop. But my goodness, what a lap of battling that was for the lead. And I don't think this is going to go anywhere, as still now Assassin's going to get involved here, as he's right behind Netsky, who's right behind Ferg, who's right behind Izzat Kush, but they're all behind Nathan JB, who made the overtake for the lead and is now leading this race. Let's take a bit of a breather, as now Sweet Crown 19 is in 7th, still putting pressure on Sophion after getting past Jamie 93 in the Red Bull just a lap ago. There's that battle for the lead here, and there's Sweet Crown 19 who probably wants to get involved, as he's going to try to overtake Sophion with the help of DRS. Izat Kush got ahead of Nathan JB with the help of DRS. And now Sweet Crown 19 did get past Sophion with DRS. So this battle is all going to kick off now. Andon and Jamian were battling it out. Andon does get ahead. And that's Josh too, I think, after serving that drive-through for the jump start. Back in 11th now after the safety car, trying to put some pressure. Ferg got past Nathan JB as they're going side by side now. Is Ferg and Nathan JB, and Netsky, I think, might want to invite himself in there once he sees the opportunity. Look at that. Here comes Netsky now on the outside of Ferg. Is he going to get the move to stick? It looks as though he does, as now Netsky and Ferg still battling it out. It's all going off here. Look at this. Nathan practically getting bullied here from Passassin, who's up into third. Netsky falling down in sixth as Sweet Crown 19 gets ahead. Nathan in fourth. Passassin in third. Ferg in second. But now Passassin's in second as Ferg takes a pit stop for what I can only assume is damage.
He hit Nathan JB, and Nathan JB went really wide in the corner. In fact, now he had to pit because he had really bad damage, and as you can see, Nathan JB lost a little bit of his tire grip, so this is a little bit also tricky for Nathan JB and Izat Kush, because they're both on 11 laps on those mediums. They need to take it a little bit farther to try to take the medium tires for the last 14 laps.
Yeah, but crucially for the likes of Izat Kush, through all of this battling that's happening ahead, and speaking of, Sweet Crown 19 now overtaking Nathan JB with the help of DRS down the first of two back straights. Izat Kush, though, has been able to create a 2-second gap between himself and Passassin, thanks to all of this battling, so he can sit comfortably. But hang on a minute, as that's Netsky getting spun, coming back on track now. That's some heavy wing damage on the Renault, as he got caught up into the incident. We saw that briefly as he was battling with the likes of Sweet Crown 19, Sophion and Nathan JB there. But maybe something the stewards might look at there is now Netsky down in 11th and still has a decent ways to go to get to the pits. But not what he was hoping for, is now he just got on those medium tires 5 laps ago.
Even Josh is really having good pace. He's already catched Eklund and Jamie. I believe that Josh right now, he's running on medium tires. Yes, he's with 5 laps. So he needs to really be aware to save those tires, because this guy is gonna try to go for soft tires for the last 8 laps. Of course, if there's a safety car, it will be a game changer, but as you can see, Josh have very good pace, and now Eklund with those soft tires, he's suffering a bit because he's stuck after or behind Jamie.
Yep,
and I think also, Eric, we need to mention that there's some penalties being given to Sophian, 3-second time penalty, and also I believe that Andene is running on a 2 warning, so another move and he will get a penalty as well.
We'll have to see, as now he's going to try to overtake his teammate as Andon, going to try around the outside of Nathan JB, going to try to keep his space though, because doesn't want to end up in a teammate accident. That's the last thing you want to see, especially if you're running in P5, P6, but I think Andon might feel that he's got a bit more pace on those mediums. But speaking of pace, here comes Nathan JB, very quickly trying to get past Sophion, and I think he does get the move to stick. So Nathan JB now can start running off a little bit, as he and Sophion are running a similar strategy on those medium tires. But now Andon is left behind the likes of Sophion in the AlphaTauri. But you can see how close Andon is on that fresher set of tires. Josh too did get past Eklund through in Sector 3. And now your own Visser is right behind Eklund. So like you said, Ephraim, it is really those soft tires starting to wear out. Eklund just trying to keep drivers back, but I think he's diving into the pits now. Yes, he is. He's had enough of those soft tires. Going to get on the mediums. But now here we go. We've got a battle for the lead as Izat Kush leading the way. Passassin is right behind, 2/10 behind. So we might see an overtake. We've got a yellow flag, and take a break on that, as that's AJ Wuhan and Ferg both out of the race. What happened here? As they're both,
first corner?
Potentially. I'm trying to see what Ferg DNF'd, but I have no idea where the DNF actually happened for Ferg, as it looks like they're both out in the pits, so I'm not too sure what happened to bring out the VSC. Ephraim, were you able to see what happened there?
No, I thought that it's gonna be a first corner accident.
Oh, I think I caught it. It might, or I don't think I caught it. I think it might be Nathan JB, who's now down in 11th with heavy wing damage. So maybe it was through first corner or into sector 1 that that high speed, I guess, C-like corner that might have created a bit of an issue for Nathan JB on those medium tires.
He needs to go in and change that wing, definitely, Nathan JB, if he wants to stick for a top 10 position. But let's talk about this guy. What is he doing? He's going to go for a top 5. Let's see, because I think Josh 2 is in a good chance to have the best pace out of all these drivers.
Yep, looking like it. He's got Jamie in front of him, trying to get an overtake done, but for now at least is going to have to sit behind. I want to keep an eye out on this battle, but I think Passassin now, 1 lap later, is going to pick up this battle right where he left it when the VSC came out, right behind Izat Kush now. Izat Kush still continuing onwards, maybe looking to extend those mediums just one or a few extra laps so he can put on the soft tires to go to the end of the race. But maybe the pace is starting to fall. Here comes Passassin right behind, practically pushing Izat Kush around the few corners. Nathan JB, after getting caught up into that incident, he's had enough. He's retired out of the session, so we're down to 15 drivers, I should say, as Nathan JB doesn't want to have that recovery drive here to start lap 15.
Look at Jamie. Look at Jamie. He's going to be overtook by Josh, and I think Josh is going to make a move, and yes, he
does get it done.
Really clean.
Very clean through the first of 2 chicanes, but right ahead of them too is Sophion and Andin. Passassin and Izat Kush essentially going side by side, and look who's going to get involved with this battle now. It's Sweet Crown 19 who's now caught right up and now wants to get involved as he's trying to get around Izat Kush, and he does get around Izat Kush to go up into second, so he's going to try to close up this gap now on Passassin, as Izat Kush, like I said, starting to feel the wear. Josh 2 back around Sophion, as Sophion I don't think is giving up a position without a fight, but Josh 2 up into 5th, gonna try to close up to Andin, as like you said, Josh 2 just showing so much pace here on that fresher set of medium tires, and absolutely flying these last few laps after having to take that taking that early drive through and pitting under safety car for those mediums.
Let's not forget also that the drivers that needs to still come in the pit and change those medium tires to I think now they're gonna take it a little bit further, and they're gonna try to take it to a soft pit stop now, because as you can see, it's Sophian and Jamie who are losing a lot of time on those mediums, but the other drivers, they are really safe to go for the last 8 laps with the softs. For Sweet Crown 19, for Passassin, and also for Izat Kush. And Izat Kush is with 15 laps on those medium, so he's risking to have a lot of tire wear, and also maybe we can see a puncture going in.
Yeah, I mean, Izat Kush was one of those drivers who started on the medium tires. I'll get to that in a moment, as we have a possible lead change as Passassin and Wouter going side by side here through the S's, and it is going to be Wouter, Sweet Crown 19 in the Williams, who takes the lead of the race here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, now leading the way on those 10-lap-old medium tires with Passassin down in second.
Josh is going to try to overtake. Josh is going to try to overtake also the guy from Racing Point, Andre, and I think Josh right now is a very good chance to achieve another position. And as you can see, Andre is a little bit slower than Josh, and Josh is losing a lot of time ahead of the other guys in front of him. So right now, he's in top 5, but definitely this guy wants a podium. And if he takes it, it will be well deserved.
Oh yeah, and crucially, right as you're mentioning that, Sweet Crown 19 gets the overtake done, leads the race for a few corners, and promptly dives into the pits to put on his second set of medium tires. Jamie 93 in the Mercedes puts on the soft tires, but Izat Kush he's staying out on those 16-lap-old medium tires. Like I think I was mentioning before the battle started happening, he's essentially started on that set of medium tires, and I think he's trying to do this one-stop medium to soft tire strategy. Jamie 93 now on those 4-lap-old medium tires. He overtakes Feral Fury.
Very good move by Josh as well. Josh managed also for the first DRS zone to overtake Andre. There was a little bit of contact as well, but it seems that Josh is running really, really good in this track. And now we saw a really bold move by Jamie, because Jamie, he can survive those 11 laps on that soft tires. In fact, it's a little bit risky now that you don't have much fuel and you need to at least try to make fast laps around this track. But I think now we're going to see Izzat Kush pitting also in this lap to go for that soft tires around 10 laps to go.
Yep, and now, crucially, while all that was happening, Schiaparelli is now finding a bit of an extra gear as he was going side by side with VR46 Yarno. Does get the overtake to go up into 7th, and now he's finding himself right behind Sophion. So I think Schiaparelli's also saying, hey, I ain't out of this just yet, after getting caught up going very wide earlier in the race. Finds himself back up into 5th and right on the rear diffuser of Sophion through into Sector 1, and maybe might be looking to make an overtake here leading into not necessarily this corner, I don't think, but with the help of DRS, trying to get past Sophion, who's on 17-lap-old medium tires, similar to his teammate Izzat Kush, but I think Sophion might be taking a pit stop near the at the end of this lap, probably to put on the softs. But here we go. Will Schiaparelli get past? I think he will with the help of DRS. They're going to go side by side, and I think Schiaparelli will have the pace. Yes, he does. He gets ahead well before the braking zone to go up into 4th, but now has a 3-second gap to close up before he can catch up to Endon, who, props to Endon, who's finding himself into a podium right now if he's able to keep it up, but might need to take one last pit stop before the end of the race, unless he's planning on taking those medium tires 10 more laps to the end of the Grand Prix.
19 took medium tires. Oh, that's a big surprise, because he didn't take softs. He didn't risk it with 10 laps to go, taking that soft. Normally soft here is good also for 9 laps, but you will be a little bit slow on the last 3 laps, as we've seen Eklund being slow with even 6 laps on the soft. So now I think the win is either going to be for Josh, either going to be for Possession, or someone else that I really admire his passion and his ambition is Schiaparelli. Definitely. He have only 7 laps on those medium, and he's running very good strategy with a very good pace right now. You see that this race, it's been a roller coaster of a grid, and I think we are really going to have a little bit more of action, a little bit more of surprises, and I think that no one can have any expectations for this race so far.
Oh, definitely. You won't want to go anywhere here, as there's going to be some very exciting racing here until the end of the race. And I do have to agree, but I do think Schiaparelli is probably in the best position here to take the victory, because, like I said, the likes of Possession, Josh 2, VR, unless they're feeling very comfortable with the tire wear, they might need to take another pit stop, because it's only lap 19 out of 28. They have to go 9 laps here on these medium tires that are already 12 laps old. So I think sooner rather than later, these medium tires might start to fall off. They might start to drop off a little bit, and we might have to see them maybe taking a pit stop to take the soft tires and push them to the end, the likes of which we're seeing some other drivers already do. Izzat Kush, he got on the soft tires, and so did, Jamie and your own Visser, Sophion.
If Possession pits now, he would have a very good chance
to
catch
Oh my goodness!
Jamie.
A gift to the likes of Possession and Josh 2, as we have a safety car now here on lap 20. And Possession, he's staying out. Josh 2 taking a pit stop. Schiaparelli pitting as well. What happened here to bring out the safety car?
I don't really know, but I think there was a retirement, or no?
I don't think so, because the retirement of Nathan happened well before. Let's try to go through the order here to see what happened. Sweet Crown's fine. Izat up into third. Eklund now is up into fourth, and he's doing okay. Let's see, Josh 2 came out of the pits. Who's really falling? It might have been for contact and some wing damage. Let's see if I right on board. Who I'm trying to keep an eye out on who maybe had to change their wings. Yeah, because everybody dove into the pits, so it was a bit of a, other than Passassin, who I don't know if he's just trying to go as...
Andy just changed his wing now from the racing point, and is running around 14th, and he lost a lot of time, of course, with that lap being a little bit of damage also for him. I don't know if he had contact by himself, but definitely he had contact because he changed his wing. And right now, we can see again that the situation with the penalties, those who have penalties, they're going to be in a big disadvantage, because right now we're going to have around another 2 laps of safety car, maybe 3 laps, because there's a little bit of gap between the drivers. So let's see what's going on with this race. And as you said before, Passassin, if he had to pit at that time, he would have really had a good chance to win. But I don't know why he didn't enter the pit, and he tried also to take it with a long run of mediums. Definitely now he needs to pit, because
he is taking his pit stop now. So I think potentially, rather than lose time in the calamity of what is pit road, I think he opted to wait an extra lap, rely on the pit crew, knowing that everything is neutralized under safety car, and he essentially gets the pit lane to himself. And it looks as though, depending on where, we'll have to see where Sweet Crown 19 ends up. Compared to Passassin, it's going to be close as they exit the pit. You saw the McLaren of Passassin. Here comes Sweet Crown 19 on your screen. It's still Passassin leading the way of this Abu Dhabi Grand Prix under safety car. Sweet Crown 19, Wouter in second, right behind. So the strategy, the strategy did work out for Passassin. And I think he might have realized that he had that gap to stay out, given the essentially the free pit stop under safety car. And the other thing to mention too is that compared to everybody else who took that pit stop 1 lap prior, he's going to be on, I mean, as much as 1 lap can really make a difference, he's going to be on that ever so slightly fresher tire than everybody else who's been well, of course, under safety car, but on those tires for 1 lap longer than he has. So potentially an extra bit of a jump in Passassin's step here, but you can't really count out the likes of Wouter, Izat Kush, Josh 2, who are in 2nd, 3rd, and 4th here.
And even Chapelle.
Chapelelli in 7th, lurking in the shadows. But we know that he's going to have a lot of pace here under the safety car restart. We're seeing positions change, some battling under safety car here as I think it's Eklund and Josh too having a little bit of fun.
That. Yeah, sometimes it glitches and it gives you a 5-second penalty for nothing. So
yeah,
you need to really be aware of that.
Oh yeah, and that's not something you want to have, especially in this stage.
They know the rules. They must be behind the other driver that they stopped when there was a safety car. So I think they don't want to risk that they will be reviewed by the stewards. I don't think that the stewards are going to have a lot of work to do during this race, although there might be some actions that they're going to be given because of the retirements and the accidents we've seen before. But it doesn't show that safety car will be down in this lap, so we have another lap of safety car, and this is helping those with the medium tires, especially Sweet Crown 19 and also Eklund. But I believe Eklund now have a big disadvantage because of the penalties that he have. He have a round of 6 seconds of time penalty. We have Jerome Visser with 3 seconds of penalties, 9 seconds for Jarno, 3 seconds for FRL Jamie, 3 seconds as well for Sofian, 3 seconds for Natsuki, 6 seconds for Knight, and 3 seconds for Andene, where Andene, it's a game changer for him because he was running really good. It's top 5 position and he was in a podium position, but now he's in the last place with some fresh tires as well. So we might see some comeback from this guy, but right now the biggest climber definitely is Isaac Kush. While he's starting 15, he's running in 3rd, and also a good move by Jamie because I think he started back down the grid and now he's 6th and he climbs up 10 positions. This is gonna be crazy definitely. because we're gonna see the last 6 laps of hell from these drivers, and definitely all the drivers right now are under pressure, definitely not to take any penalty, because one penalty punishes you for the whole race.
Oh yeah, especially in this stage, and I do have to give props to essentially the top 7. I mean, other than Eklund, who does have that penalty there, but props to the top 7 for the most part for keeping it clean here for the entirety of the race. But you can't let up now, because here in this stage is when we hopefully go back to racing on lap 23 out of 28. And yes, it is going to be going back to green flag racing to start lap 23. This is where all this hard work can fall in front of you if you're not careful. It is going to be chaos. It is going to be extremely exciting. We said it before, you don't want to go anywhere because things are only about to get started, and the prophecy came true, I guess you could say, as we've got this late safety car, and similar to what we saw not too long ago in the Division 2 race, this late safety car normally can prove to be a very chaotic scene on the restart, given that drivers know that they don't have all that much time to really to make these moves done, so they might be attempting to, they might be getting a little bit more, less cautious on their moves, so to say, knowing that they've only got laps 23 through 28 to get the move done. But here we go, waiting for Passassin to give us the cue to restart. I think he's going now as he's coming around the final corner. Looks like Sweet Crown 19 caught that relatively well, but it seems as though, at least to start off, everyone left cleanly. Schiaparelli put a lot of pressure on Jamie and off the restart here as he's going to try to work his way up the field, but still behind the the Mercedes of Jamie, and for the time being, maybe going to try a lunge down the inside here. No, going to be keeping it safe, but potentially with the help of, well, I wouldn't say DRS, but down this long back straight, we might see Schiaparelli try for an overtake. Ooh, a little bit of a moment there around the outside. Very much so the outside goes Schiaparelli. I think gives that position back to Jamie 1 as he had to, but then takes it right back. They're going to go side by side into this first chicane here, right behind. I think we're seeing a Red Bull. That's Jamie going to try and overtake. Schiaparelli gets through cleanly. Side by side, there's contact between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Oh no, and that's Jamie getting caught up into an incident, and he's spun facing the wrong way. Oh, and that's a retirement on track there. Not what you want to see from Jamie in the Red Bull, as he's out on lap 23. We've got a yellow flag, but I don't think that's going to bring out another safety car here. Sophion and Netsky battling it out, as Sophion still in 10th, Netsky right behind as he's trying to work his way back up the grid. Schiaparelli now behind the Renault of Eklund, who's trying to get past.
Also, really good battle also for Josh Izetkush and Sweet Crown 19. Sweet Crown 19 is on the mediums with those 3 laps, and also Izetkush can have 5 laps of those softs. So maybe Josh is the best situation right now because he have the least tire wear, and also Josh is having a very good pace. And believe me when I tell you that he feels that Izetkush and Sweet Crown 19 are his threat, because they're really slow in the corners and he's really fast. And I think Passassin is really enjoying that moment as well, because he's getting ahead and he's gonna try to run out of that. Let's say if he takes 2 seconds penalty, he definitely will be safe because he doesn't have any traffic behind him.
Definitely. Yep, and now Izat Kush getting past Sweet Crown 19 to go up into second on those soft tires. But Sweet Crown 19 going to try to push right back. Might get the second bite of the DRS cherry, but going to have to watch out for his teammate who's right behind, equally on the faster tires. So maybe a position swap from the Williams team here sooner rather than later. It looks like, oh, I thought that was going to be the case, but no. I think we might see the Williams battle. They might get the green light to battle it out. But crucially, right behind is Schiaparelli, who's caught right back up to this pack. And he's going to want to get involved, try to get some overtakes done here on lap 24 out of 28. But all eyes Passassin leading the way, got the restart he needed, and now has a 1.3 seconds ahead of Izat Kush. So currently, for the time being, finds himself clear of the DRS range of the driver in second, as DRS is now enabled to start lap 25 out of 28. It's all going to play out here in the final few laps. How is this going to play out here for the podium? We'll stick around and find out, as it's for now Passassin leading the way, Izad Kush in second, Sweet Crown 19 in third, but now crucially Izad Kush is growing a little bit of a gap now to third, as now I think Josh too just wants to get past his teammate. Chapelelli's stuck behind both of them, and he's going to want to get past. With the help of DRS, this is where we're going to start maybe seeing more overtakes happen here in these later stages. Here comes Chapelelli now trying to make a move. He's going to have to go around the outside, but is greeted by the other Williams, the Sweet Crown 19 right ahead of him, as Josh defends down the inside. They're going side by side there for a little bit, but Josh too is able to hold on to that P4 for the moment. And now Josh too gets a run on his teammate here, and he does get ahead of his teammate leading into the braking zone, so puts some separation between himself and Chapelelli. Yeah, I do think
that was a position given by the Williams. That was a team call. We saw that also Sweet Crown 19. He doesn't have the best tires so far, and definitely right now Josh will have a very good pace to try and catch Vapor Persistent. As right now it seems that Vapor Persistent is really in the likes to win this race, and definitely also Izad Kush is keeping him under pressure, as Josh right now he might also suffer from a 3-second time penalty, because we have already 2 warnings, and the guy who suffers from the penalty is Chapelele, and he now have a 3-second time penalty. No luck at all for this driver, no luck in the qualifying and no luck in the race in the end of these 2 laps that was remaining.
Yeah, Chapelelli really not having the Abu Dhabi race he was hoping for, albeit still battling with the likes of Sweet Crown 19. And I do think with the Williams, that might have been sort of executed according to plan, because as far as the championship battle is concerned, Josh too is the lead driver here of the 2 Williams. So I think Sweet Crown let his teammate by. He can focus on the Josh too can now focus on Izad Kush ahead as 2 main championship rivals. And meanwhile, Sweet Crown 19 can focus on doing all he can to keep Chapelelli behind, so that he can potentially take points away from the championship leader, who's down in 5th, has a 3-second time penalty to contend with. But crucially, Eklund, who's right behind, also has a penalty. But like you were saying, we're on lap 26 out of 28, and everybody's just oh so close to one another. Every gap is less than a second, other than the gap for the leader. Here comes Chapelelli, so close to Sweet Crown, but just unable to close up enough to get an overtake done. So we might see, if Chapelelli can't get a move on, we might see him lose out on more than just one position here before the end of the race.
Josh is very close also to Izad Kush. It seems that this lap is gonna be the lap where he's gonna try to overtake him with that DRS advantage, but definitely also we don't need to forget that Passassin now is losing a little bit of time against Josh too, but he's already 2 seconds ahead of this guy. So right now it all seems that Passassin, if he doesn't make any mistakes, if he doesn't go wide, it seems that this driver is going to have the win in Abu Dhabi after a big roller coaster of a race, and definitely Passassin.
Oh, and Chapelelli just absolutely sends it down the inside of Sweet Crown 19. He had enough of being behind the Williams, so just sends it through the hairpin, gets the move done. But here comes Sweet Crown battling right back here. They're going side by side. Who's going to get the advantage here? Yes, Josh gets ahead of Izad Kush to go up into second, right up ahead. But these 2 drivers are still going side by side, wheel to wheel in the most literal possible sense. You know what? Let's try to ride on board so we can maybe see both battles here, as I think that one's taken a bit of a break. Chapelelli was ahead temporarily, advantage Sweet Crown, but Chapelelli just gets the better line through the S's, finally gets the overtake done to get up into 4th. But what a battle that was between the 2 drivers. But Sweet Crown just has to keep the gap close enough, and he might be able to see salvation with that position. But Josh too now got ahead of Izad Kush, as you mentioned, Ephraim, and now has essentially one last lap to try to close the gap and pressure Passassin for the
Josh,
win.
You have a 3-second time penalty.
Oh, 3-second time
penalty for Josh, and that could make him lose the podium, as it seems that Sweet Crown 19 is still in the view of Chapelele. So Chapelele and Josh 2, they might also lose the podium themselves. So let's see what's going to happen now between these drivers, as it seems that who makes the first error from these two drivers, Izzat Kush or Sweet Crown 19, they might be punished as well, and we might see another driver being crowned the podium. But this is getting interesting now, and I see that also Josh is reducing the time from Possession ahead, but Possession, I think, now is in the likes of winning this race. He just needs to play it safe. He doesn't need to do any error. The driver behind him is around 3 seconds or more because he have a penalty. So Possession, if you're listening to this broadcast right now, if you're listening to the stream, just keep it ahead and keep it away from the curbs. Definitely.
I think that's the plan. And here comes Chapelele now, overtaking Izzat Kush to go up into a podium for the moment. But Izzat Kush may be aware of the penalties up ahead, so just looking to keep it clean in one pace to snag those points. Possession, only a few corners to go now before he can breathe a sigh of relief. But we'll have to keep an eye out. Let's switch over to Possession coming through the hotel section here. But with a few corners to go, it's looking more and more like we will have the victor. We are predicting only one final corner. Possession crosses the line, greeted by the fireworks. He gets the victory here. Josh 2 in second, but it's Izzat Kush who gets second. Josh 2 comes in third after penalties. Sweet Crown 19 in fourth, and Chapelele rounds out the top 5. My goodness, what an end of the race that was. But it is Possession getting the win here at the ISRL Division 1 Championship at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. My oh my, congratulations and kudos to all the drivers for putting on a show and a half here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
It could be one of the best races we ever seen in this division. A lot of entertainment, a lot of DRS action, and definitely I think these drivers were all trained to give us the best show possible. Thanks also for you to give me this opportunity to be with you today, Eric, and I think we did a really great job to keep our viewers happy with our commentary, of course.
Oh, I think so as well, but I do need to thank the drivers too, because they gave us a show, like I said, they gave us a show and a half to watch and made our jobs oh so easy with that. But it is Possession in this McLaren getting the victory here. It's an American on the top step of the podium here for Division 1, with Izzat Kush in second, Josh 2 rounding out the podium in third, Sweet Crown in fourth, Chapelele in fifth, Jamie in sixth, Feral Fury in seventh, your own Visser in eighth, Sophion in ninth, and Netsky rounding out the top 10. Eklund in 11th, Andon in 12th, Knight coming in 13th, VR46 Yarno in 14th, Jamie 93 rounding out the top 15, but DNFing, retiring earlier on with Nathan JB, AJ Wuhan, Ferg, Rotation, and Sprunky coming in 16th through 20th, but equally having that retirement earlier on. But my, oh my, what a race that was. And honestly, thank you, Ephraim, for coming in with the co-commentaries here today. It was great to work with you here, and my goodness, what a race that was! I just can't get enough of it.
I think I'm gonna dream about this race tonight, because I think some of the racing we've seen, it was really clean overtakes. There were some also risky moves, but definitely we are happy with what we've seen. And I would like also to congratulate the podium drivers, definitely, and I would like to congratulate all the drivers which gave us a really big show tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely congratulations to the podium, to all the drivers that gave us an absolute show to watch. And I think this might be a good time to jump to the post-race interviews. I'm not too sure if anybody's jumped into the party just yet, as I've got my notifications off. Does not look like it is the case. Let's see, I'm just trying to pull up this podium very quickly so we can send the invites out. Oh my goodness, with all the ordering here, come on you. There we go. So let's see. Let's try to get some invites out here. We'll be back in a moment as I'll try to get some invites out to Possession, Izzat, and Josh to get their takes here after the race. Oh yeah, the safety car definitely. I feel probably put a bit of a dent in these strategies, but we'll see. I'm getting those invites sent out. We'll be able to get some perspective from the drivers here. Oh, I'm already here. All right. Well, 2 of the 3 podium sitters are already part of the part here of the party. So we'll see if they can join in. Through all of that, never actually sent the invite to Passassin, so I'll just resend that out. Here we go. Let's add Passassin. Alrighty. So I sent the invite over to Passassin. We'll see if the other 2 drivers are able to jump in, realize that they're already in this post-race interview party, and get their insights. But all the while, let's jump into the showroom right as Passassin has joined into the party. Passassin, let us know if you can hear us.
I can hear y'all.
Perfect. Oof. So I'll start with you. First off, I want to say congratulations on the victory. What a drive! And I'm sure you're probably happy to see the top step of the podium. Take us through it. What were your thoughts with that race?
It was a crazy race from the beginning, and I mean I just tried my best. It was from start to finish. It was a race of like sitting behind someone or trying to catch up to somebody. But when it all unfolded, that like 5-car string, and something happened, I don't know, like people got damaged or something, I just sat patiently and just let it happen and took advantage of what I could take. If the safety car at the end didn't come out, then I wouldn't have pitted, but I'm kind of glad it did, honestly. I wouldn't want to go on that 80% mediums.
Oh yeah, and I wanted to ask about that, because when the safety car came out, you stayed out, but everybody behind you jumped into the pits. Was that sort of part of your strategy to stay out that extra lap under safety car knowing you had the gap? Or what happened there?
The safety car came out later. I passed the pits already. I just
tried to
you
rush
were
already
in front
past
of the safety car, so I didn't get past. Yeah, it was unfortunate timing.
Oh, I see. I mean, it still worked out for you there.
Oh yeah, I'm glad. I'm very glad. Thank you.
No problem. Ephraim, anything to add, Ephraim?
Now I think you had your lunch now, Passassin, or before the race, because you are the guy from US, not from Europe.
I am from the United States, yes.
So right now it's around 3 o'clock, I think, yes, over there?
It's 5 o'clock right now.
Oh, 5 o'clock, so that's good. What I was going to ask you is, how scared were you from those track limits in the last 3 laps? We've knew that Josh Tuch had already 2 warnings. In fact, then he ran wide in the last lap to take a penalty. How threatened were you from these exceeding track limits?
I was on 2 warnings for like 20 laps or something, or like 15 laps, and it was stressful for sure. Oh, it was stressful.
We've seen a lot of you that you eventually in the qualifying you were ruining a lot of laps and also set of tires of medium. In fact, we've seen, I think, most of the drivers, I think even more than half of the grid, in the first qualifying and second qualifying, you were not doing any laps at all.
Yeah, I was kind of struggling with track limits and qualifying. Yeah, it was just very unfortunate. On my in Q3, I spun in the pit lane and broke my wing. Had to rush back in.
No, but it looks like it all worked out for you though. So congratulations. But I do want to.
Congratulations for your win, definitely.
Yeah, I do want to jump over because I saw Josh too joined in. Josh, let us know if you can hear us or not.
Cool.
Perfect. Oh, you can hear us. Perfect. So a bit of a roller coaster race for you there from, a bit of an angsty start of the race to back of the grid to absolutely just rocketing your way back up the field there. Take us through it. What were your thoughts on that race?
Yeah, first of all, the qualifying was completely, I don't know, everybody just invalidated their lap. Chapelet couldn't get a lap at all. So first of all, got lucky with P3 in my opinion, and then the start was trash. It was just trash. jumped it, nearly got my teammate also to jump it, but he got lucky then. And yeah, I was nearly last after the ride-through, and got lucky then that the second safety car came out perfectly in time for me. And also to Sesson, in my opinion, it was a bit disgusting corner cutting under qualifying, but yeah.
I think I have also a question for you, Josh. I saw that you were really under threat because the guys in front of you were slower than you, and you in fact had the best pace out of all the drivers, I think, together with Chapelala. Were you trying to do the overtake and you used a lot of your ERS in the first 2 laps under the safety car?
Yeah, I tried them to pass as fast as possible, of course, but yeah, it's pretty hard if you are stuck in a train and everyone uses ERS and later have DRS. And yeah, I have to admit, I touched a few times with other drivers or run in the back a bit. So yeah, it was pretty hard indeed.
Match, but it still worked out for you. Congratulations on the podium. Definitely well deserved with the drive you had. Now, I'm not too sure. Did Izat jump in, or is he not doing an interview here today?
He doesn't.
He's not doing the interview. Alrighty, so I think we'll probably end off the stream here, but thank you so much everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed the race as much as we did, and Ephraim, once again, thank you for jumping in the commentaries booth with me. It was great to have you on board here for this probably one of the most exciting races of the season, between that and Belgium, if I'm being honest. Of course,
yes, of course.
Yep, and of course, thank you to our sponsors, IMB Racewear, Jackson Protection Agency, IFBA. We could not be doing what we're doing without all of your support, and of course, like I said, everybody who was watching and supporting us from home. We are here for you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be much, so thank you so much. But on behalf of Ephraim, I've been Fallen Monkeys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you all next week in Italy, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.